This is the Oakwyn Podcast, featuring Morgan Brown and Michael Yu.
Welcome to the Oakwyn Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Yu.
And I'm Morgan Brown.
Wait a second.
That's right. I'm Brady D. Where is Morgan?
Yeah, Morgan is on her mat leave, actually. So that, we're minus one host today.
That's right.
Yeah.
But
I'm a little bit nervous, actually. It's like flying without a wingman.
You're nervous?
Yeah.
How do you think I feel?
Brayden is our co-host today.
That's right. I got big shoes to fill.
Yeah,
big
exactly.
Ladies' size
High
shoes.
heel shoes to fill, for sure. But like, do you guys do you have a work wingman, or have you ever had a work wingman before? Like,
kind of.
or like when you're picking up chicks, did you have a wingman? There's only guys here now, so we can talk about.
I don't know. It's been
those
so
days.
long since I've picked up chicks, but no, I've never really had a wingman. I've always kind of flown solo. Maybe it's because I have trust issues.
You know what? I have to say that, I think I'm bad as the main man, but I'm great as a wingman.
Yeah, okay. That's
awesome.
awesome.
I've set up a lot of when we used to go to the nightclubs and stuff like that. I was the wingman.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
okay. And you
Not
did
the
a great job.
Yeah, I think because I have a low shame.
No, yeah, that helps. That helps
exactly.
a lot. Yeah.
So,
what was your main trick?
I didn't have a trick. I feel like I feel like people can read energy, so if you have this creepy energy and you want something from this whole thing, then it kind of comes off that way. And if you're kind of just you want to have a good time and you're there to meet people and have some fun, then I feel it doesn't matter what you actually say. It's just kind of how the energy kind of flows.
Yeah. You're they can kind of feel that you're just there to help your friends out and just to have a good time, right?
And I love because I look like Cupid. So,
Wait a minute. How do you look like Cupid?
When I take off my clothes at night, I look just like Cupid. I have the body of Cupid.
Okay, nice.
I only sometimes wear the diapers. We have this is a pretty cool pod today because we're outside.
Yeah,
in my backyard.
This is
right?
nature. You guys might hear some birds chirping. I'm not gonna edit those out.
No, we're in the great outdoors, my backyard.
It's beautiful.
And so obviously, we're gonna have some guests today. It's gonna be a lot, or not today, but in this set here. And we're outside in my backyard. This is cool. Have you ever done a podcast outside?
I can't say no. No, I've never done one outside.
Wow.
There's too many variables. Again, it comes down to control. But I think this is the ideal situation. It's not raining. It's there's not a whole lot of traffic noise here. It's feeling pretty good. I feel good about this.
Yeah,
I'm assuming the light is great.
It's nice being outside. There's a different energy being outside. We're gonna soak in the vitamin D.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
Stuff like that too. But it's it's kind of fun. It's weird to be in outside doing this though versus being in that small room that we're upstairs.
Yeah, it's weird. In general, it's weird for me to be outside. I spend most of my day in a dark little hole of a studio closet, and this is I don't know if I'm comfortable with this. No, I feel good here.
You're gonna get comfortable.
Yeah,
with
I feel good. This is good. Having the sun on me is good.
You know what? I never really, I'm the same way as you. I'm a basement dweller. I'm a chess club nerd in school. I'm
real vampire-like, right?
Very vampire-like. I'm an indoors guy. But I've actually, because of COVID, I've gotten a little bit of more of an appreciation for the outdoors because obviously we had to spend so much more time outdoors, right?
That's right. Yeah, you're doing some camping, eh?
Yeah. Are you an outdoors person or you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the outdoors. My wife and I bought a bowler last year. And
what's a bowler again?
It's I guess you'd call it an egg-shaped RV, fiberglass shell RV or trailer that you tow behind your car. And,
okay.
Not
an out of shape guy.
It just
that rolls balls down a lane. No,
that's not quite it. That's with a W. You gotta take that out of it. Yeah.
Okay.
It's basically just this thing from the 70s that generally you buy it for too much money and it needs too much work, and then you have a really good time in it.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I haven't finished fixing it up, but
okay. So it's just kind of like a trailer, and you put all your gear in it, or do you sleep in it?
You sleep in it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's pretty substantial then.
Yeah, it's got a little. I mean, it's not substantial. It's got a little kitchenette. It doesn't have enough headroom for me to fully stand up. I think it's 6'1" and I'm 6'4", so that might be a challenge. But yeah, it's got a stove. It's got a.
Did you ever watch the Trailer Park Boys?
Oh yeah, that was like my.
Do you have a Bubbles impression?
I don't know.
You kind of talked a little bit through his teeth, right?
Yeah, he's kind of like, I don't know, Ricky.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I spent a lot of time being Bubbles growing up, right? Okay. I got the kitties over there. Right?
That is good.
Yeah.
We gotta do a clip of that.
Who would you be in the Trailer Park Boys?
I think I would be the guy that has his shirt off. Randy.
Randy,
I think,
yeah, okay. Cheeseburger Randy.
Yeah, Cheeseburger Randy, because he's a bit of like an innocent dope.
He is. I don't know how much you watch that show, but he's also a bit of a male prostitute as well. So I don't know if that's the right
matches.
pick. But good for you.
Is that right?
Yeah,
okay.
that's right. I think he calls himself Smokey. I might be wrong on that.
Really?
Yeah.
I actually haven't. I've only watched. Like, I think I just watched the movie and 1 or 2 episodes of the show. Like, is there a guilty pleasure show that you have? Would it be Trailer Park Boys or?
It definitely would have been back in the day. Nowadays, it's tough. I feel like with Netflix, you just kind of go from, binging one show to binging another show. There's not really one that I ever came back to, but I used to like in high school. If anybody asked me what's my favorite show or movie, I would always, don't judge me on this, I would always say Half Baked, because I just loved Dave Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle.
Yeah. It's like his seminal role, to come out with. And I also did smoke a lot of weed in high school, but it was just like him. He's such a good comedian. Yeah. A little slow.
That's right. Little off.
Little heavy breathing. It's fine. It's fine. That's in my past.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Totally.
What about you?
Formative years. You know what? I really love the Chappelle, like you were talking about Chappelle, Dave Chappelle, like he was just actually on the Joe Rogan podcast. Did you listen to to his podcast with
Joe Rogan? It's so long. I haven't really ever gotten into Joe Rogan for some reason. I'm more of a Dax Shepard guy. I feel like one or the other. But
okay.
How was it? What did he? Some takeaways?
He's just really I feel like he's really settled into his life and fame, and his tone of his comedy has changed as he's aged. If you like a lot of that stuff, like Half Baked, it was a bit more campy, a little bit higher strung. Yeah, and I feel like he wasn't really thinking about the consequences of his words, but then now it's kind of like, he's a deep guy. He's really deep, but then occasionally he'll just zing in with something like funny and dumb.
Well, you got to have the headliners, slapstick. Right? Like you got to have the one-liner that people take home. But a lot of his jokes now, his stand-ups. Yeah, I've seen all of the ones he's done the past few years. There's one stinker in there, but for the most part, they were just very, very quick-witted jokes, very sharp, like you said, deep.
Yeah, really, and really a lot of social commentary, right? Lots of less kind of surface humor, more social commentary and kind of the state of humanity and where it's headed, and kind of, so I find it pretty interesting to hear him, how he's evolved. And so it's really cool. For sure.
I really like him.
So on this podcast we're going to talk about something really interesting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's I don't know if it's a social commentary, but it's a different style of selling, and that's going to come up next. So up next, consultative selling.
Calling all agents out there. Are you looking for a positive change in your business, or just looking for what's the script?
So Brayden always makes fun of us for screwing up these little mini commercials.
How hard could it be?
I'm going to show you how it's done.
Oh, here we go. One take, Michael, right here.
One take, right here. I feel like Eminem. Okay, calling all agents out there. If you're curious about Oakwyn, you want to learn more, go to our website at www.oakwyn.com/join and type into the message box pod 2021, and you'll receive a free piece of mystery swag. Looking forward to hearing from you soon. Pretty good.
Not bad.
8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. Okay.
Oh, thanks, I forgot to team up with you on the mystery swag. We'll get it next time. Yeah.
Sounds good. All right. Welcome back to the Oakwyn podcast. Brayden.
Yes.
How's it going?
Oh, it's pretty good.
Great. You were in sales before. You were a realtor for, how long were you a realtor for?
2013 to 2019. So 6 years.
6 years.
6 years in the business.
That's so like how did you evolve? What did you learn about sales in those 6 years?
In those 6 years, I learned that it's less about, I mean, there's always this element of knowing your product, right? But that's what I thought it was, like 90% of it was at the start. And then I learned as I went on how much it actually is more about like managing clients' expectations and personalities and stuff like that. And
like the people element.
Yeah, because in the first like few years of real estate, I just couldn't I wasn't closing sales because I couldn't like get people to trust me, right? And it was like I'm trying to show all this knowledge, but I wasn't working hard enough to be like friends with them almost. Does that make sense? Right. And I just had this like viewpoint of like, I had this idea that like seeing all these successful realtors and be like, oh, it seems like they must be just cutthroat to get where they're at right now. And then eventually met all these agents that they're just really good at just, hanging out with people and building trust with them. Like, does that make sense for you? Like,
that makes sense. I think that there's a misconception. Well, I don't want to say a misconception, but there's a type of like assumption that we make when we get started in real estate that, you got to have like this deep knowledge. You got to know everything. Like you're going to be put on the spot. You're going to be tested. Like, it's kind of like the real estate exam. You're going to like be tested right away from clients and they're going to challenge you on certain things. Yeah. But that's not actually like kind of reality. And something that I learned early on, I actually hired and I think I shared it on the pod before, but I hired a sales coach when I first got started. In sales or, in business, because I don't think I was a naturally strong, like sales kind of person per se, right out of the gate. Like, I don't think I had a natural like inclination to like, talking to people and being really kind of out there.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah. So like, why did you even start to think about being a realtor? What was the spark?
Well, I had never even thought about it. And I was working in construction because I was playing in a band, and it was a very different life than what I live right now. It was like I had to have a job that I could just take off and leave. So I did a lot of construction, and then I got arthritis in my knees. And
oh, really?
It became a very quick reality that I couldn't do that anymore. And all of a sudden I just realized
arthritis in the knees. Yeah. Like
it's just like sort of
rheumatoid
arthritis. Yeah. It's just maybe it's a hereditary thing or whatever, but I couldn't do construction anymore. So I had to make a decision, and I really liked music. And my mom was in real estate. Right? Like she was a kind of small time developer.
Oh, okay. So you're a realtor kid. You're a real estate kid.
Kind of. Yeah. Like she only got into it like 5 years before that, just kind of fell into it. But she said, well, why don't you, I was working for the builder that was building her homes. And she said, why don't you get your real estate license? And I said, oh, I want to get my music production, like certificate. And she was like, well, okay. Maybe you just get both.
Right.
I said, okay. So I was studying for the exam while I was going to school for music production, and I finished them both at the same time in 2013. And I kind of just tried to do both things. Right. I did both things for 6 years, but it was always this balance. Right.
Yeah. And then I think once you start really focusing on things, then that's when things really come to, fruition. Right. Yeah. Sometimes when you get too like divided with too many different things, it kind of like,
Oh yeah. There was definitely like, you hear people talking about how you have to be full-time in real estate. And that's kind of, I was always full-time in one of those two. I was never like, you can't just half real estate, like you can't be I'd be in the middle of a recording session. I'd be getting calls about offers on my listings. And I'm like, you can't, it's so hard to do that. Right. To divide that time. So that makes
totally
sense.
When I first got started in real estate, I had these assumptions that I would watch a movie like Glenn Ross, which Morgan and I love.
Yeah.
Which is like Alec Baldwin always be closing, coffees for closers, like
that's right.
And it's this like hardcore, like super direct, like shark type of person. They're the ones that are going to succeed. And then I was like, oh my gosh, like that is totally not me. I'm like, I was never, anyways. So it was just, so I really wanted to, I took the profession of selling or the profession of being a realtor, an entrepreneur, I took it as kind of like, okay, I suck. I'm a white belt. I need to go to school for this
and become a black belt.
I need to, yeah, exactly. I need to like level up hard. So I hired a sales coach, and and I learned a lot about kind of the misconceptions that we have. So the kind of the old school style of selling, which is kind of that, we call it features and benefits style selling.
Yeah.
So, which I think a lot of people they really embrace that style of selling, and I don't feel that it's the most practical and best thing for real estate specifically. I think for the most part, in any large scale purchase, you shouldn't use that method of features and benefits style selling. It should be what we call consultative selling. That's what I've kind of, I don't know. It's probably, you can Google it. I don't know if I've heard it somewhere, but I kind of,
is this you don't think you coined this?
I'm sure I read it somewhere, and I basically just kind of like use it as kind of a, like, what my methodology for relating to people and working together with others.
Okay, well let's
we
define it.
We can define it and dive in. So features and benefits selling would be like an example of, this is my product or service. These are all the features and benefits of my product and service. This is my A, B, C, D, E, F, G reason why you should hire me.
Okay.
And then you ask the client, would you like to hire me? And then which kind of, you think it kind of makes sense. Whereas consultative selling is almost the opposite of that. It's learning everything about the client, learning everything that you can about the situation, the circumstances, the finances, the kind of the goal, like where they want to head, and then offering a tailored like kind of solution for them about how to get there, and how we could do that together or not together. We had some technical difficulties with the camera. I didn't have the right light, and I flipped the camera over. Like, fix the camera, it's not me.
Get out of here. Yeah.
I don't look like that.
He's so easy to work with.
I've been known to be a diva. I'm like Whitney Houston. So talking about consultative selling versus features and benefits selling. So features and benefits selling obviously is kind of like, you see like kind of a list of different, it more kind of talks about facts and figures and knowledge points, trying to be a bit probably more on the, trying to be a little bit more on the logical side, whereas consultative selling is a little bit more of kind of, it adds a little bit more of the emotion side to it as well, but also really tries to get to understand the client and their specific needs. So it requires a lot more. I feel like it requires a lot more problem solving, requires a lot more thought than just kind of like a presentation. So kind of the difference between the two is very crucial, because I used to sell like a features and benefits style. I would go like, I would knock on a door. I'd be like, hi, my name is Michael Yu. I sell homes in this area. This is my stats, and this is what I can do for you.
Yeah.
And like, I basically would just kind of rattle off like everything I knew about real estate. Like,
that's what I did.
Like, blasted in their face,
yeah.
And they were like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And it really didn't work out well. And I feel like for the first 6 months of my business, I didn't sell a single home.
Yeah.
And I was really like using that style, and so I needed help. So I got a coach, and I learned kind of a different kind of. I learned a sales system a little bit that was a little bit different, and it was really like, now it's kind of evolved to this consultative approach that we take now, and we like our agents at the office to utilize this approach for the most part, and so
okay,
it's kind of cool.
So what's step one in the consultative process?
So the consultative process is more so kind of as a difference from the features and benefits style. Consultative approach starts with really listening well. Okay. So in the consultative approach of selling, you're talking about 30% of the time, and you're listening about 70% of the time. So you got to be really good about asking questions. So asking really poignant questions that are open-ended, that help you to discover the needs of your client or the person that's across from you. So taking that time to really get to know them, their circumstances, how they like to communicate, and really trying to really discover more about their certain circumstance and how you could help. Sometimes you can help, but sometimes, in a lot of cases, you can. So
it's kind of like the Socratic method, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. So really
lots
of questions, and really having a posture of listening. So I think a lot of agents and a lot of kind of like real estate people have this posture of talking, like
big time. They're like hearing their voices.
Oh, they love hearing their voices, and so like that's kind of so really when we're in this different forum, we really want to kind of step back and take that posture of listening. So the features and benefits style would be kind of this like heavy talking. So you're talking 70 to 80% of the time, and then the other side of the table is really just listening to you. And, you know, the things that you're saying may not strike a chord or a note with them. So it's really a different style. So I think that's where it starts, is it's having the right posture. So like, and so just you have kind of that listening posture. I was trying to think of a pun or a joke to come up with posture. Like, I'm the hunchback. But so trying to really like start with that strong posture of listening. So the second step to really using the consultative approach is, you know, instead of information giving, which is what like most agents do, is like giving tons of information, you're information gathering. So you're trying to gather information from the client, understanding their specific needs, like what's their wish list items for the home that they'd like to purchase. What's you know, what's important to them in their next residence, like where do they spend the most time in the home?
Where are their limits and budgets and stuff
exactly.
like that.
Like, you know, really making them feel comfortable enough to be able to reveal certain like things with their finances, potentially to understand their budget a little bit better. So that's always a careful consideration to go around. And I feel like it's really building a lot of trust to get to that stage. So it takes a bit more time, you know, than just kind of like a direct question. Like a lot of agents ask people like, have you been pre-approved? Like the second that they the second that they meet someone.
Well, you got to weed out the bums, right?
I don't know. They call them bums.
Wow. Maybe that's why I got out of real estate.
I mean, pre-approved, you bum. Like, No, I feel like, you know, for the most part, people really need to feel comfortable around you, and then they'll be more willing to share because there's that element of friendship and trust. And so kind of information gathering. So really trying to be able to get all that, to get all that information, understand really clearly what drives them, what's important to them, the timing that might be good for them or not good for them, and really kind of focusing on that side of it, right?
Yeah.
And so so like the consultative approach is also really more of a tailored approach versus like kind of a directive approach, if that kind of makes sense. So basically, you're spending more time really, tailoring a program for them, specific to them, versus kind of like, this is what I do and I don't change it at all. Yeah. So I have a friend that's, have you ever had like a consult for anything like that, or?
A consult?
Yeah.
Well, I just like I'm thinking of it on the other side. Like this is stuff that I've found is really, I don't really think about it, but this is stuff that I'm doing with my podcasting business.
Right.
And like, it just works so much better than the stuff I was doing when I was doing real estate. And it's weird because I didn't, I didn't even understand that why it wasn't working. Like, but that's exactly it. You're coming on a little bit too strong. It almost goes back to your wingman idea where you just come right out and say it. Hey, you want to go out with my friend? They're probably going to be like, maybe not, right?
Right.
But if you come on a little bit slower, gather some information.
Yeah,
right?
Totally. We can apply this to a lot of different things, actually. To our dating lives, or not, or lack thereof, now that we're happily married men.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, I think like, so it requires a little bit more of a difference of expectations. So like when I'm about to meet someone, I don't think about how am I going to make this sale. I think of, can I help this person? Does this person need my help? And if those things are yes, how are we going to do that?
That's a great mindset. Versus,
you go into a meeting and you're like, I must make this sale. I got to drive home this sale. It's not really, it changes the attitude
Yeah, you're gonna seem desperate, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And it's gonna come off like that.
Totally. And you're gonna like it just changes the whole atmosphere. And it takes a lot of the pressure off. Because I used to put so much pressure on myself. Like, I don't know if you were like this before.
Yeah. Well, I mean, especially in the early years when you're like, I need this check, right? So this sale could be like a big difference for me, right?
Exactly.
So you're saying don't even think about the sale. Think about just how can I help this person?
Yeah. And, and sometimes you can't, like I've had many instances where, I'm not the best fit for this individual. There are other people that are, better for them, and being, confident enough to say, hey, this isn't going to work. This is the reason why. It's because I don't know this neighborhood very well.
Yeah.
Or, and so being really upfront with it. And then and then it's up to them to decide if they want to continue or not to continue in a lot of cases. But a lot of people find that candor pretty refreshing.
Yeah. I was just going to say, they probably appreciate that honesty, right?
Totally. Yeah. I had like, a client, they said, they wanted to sell their house in North Shore. And I said, I don't really know North Shore very well. And it was I sold their property in downtown, in South Granville, which I knew that area very well.
Yeah.
Okay, you did such a great job. I want you to sell my house. And I said, I don't really sell in that area. I think it's better to get a expert, and I know just the perfect expert to help you. And she just was so like thrilled. And a lot of people would just kind of,
Well, she probably felt like almost beholden to you to give you that business, right? Like, she probably didn't want to say like, hey, do you know anybody who is a North Shore expert? But the fact that you came out and said it first probably was like, oh, that's probably so nice for her. Right?
Yeah. And it really worked out well. I think she felt like really great on both sides of the two sales that she did. So like, I think it was really like a, you're just trying to be really helpful from that perspective, and really trying to, instead of, just trying to understand the expectations of the client, and that's a big part of it, of this kind of method of sales. And it really I feel it takes a lot of the pressure off. Once I kind of adopted this style, it really, changed my outlook on the business as well. Like,
interesting.
Yeah.
How
like,
so?
It's kind of like the mood, like we talked about earlier, like the mood of it is not to like sell, but the mood of it is to like help other people. And, as a consultant, as someone's guide, as somebody's like guardian, like, and I think of my, like, and sometimes people need someone that's more aggressive and stuff like that. And,
there's definitely a type of client that wants that, right?
And,
the bulldog.
For sure. And if they want a bulldog, I say, you know what? I could either be that bulldog for you if you need it, or, I can recommend you to a better person that's more in line with that style of
a bigger bulldog.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a big softie. So
you're Cupid, right?
Yeah, I'm Cupid. So like, it's just a different kind of mentality of selling. And we actually like, we train this at our Oakwyn University, this style of selling, as opposed to just that features and benefits style. And, we've had really great results through our agents using this kind of methodology.
Yeah.
I think a lot of, how do you put this? Like a lot of the American models of real estate are like this heavy features and benefits, like really.
Really? You think there's like a cultural divide between the real estate market in the States and here? I mean, there should be, I guess.
Personally, I don't like, and this is like, I don't want to say it as a slight to, other companies or anything like that, but their philosophies are totally different. And I feel like, there's an American way of doing real estate, which is a bit more, in my opinion, a bit more like out front and obtuse and like sell, like this, like, and kind of a method of kind of showing off and elitism. And, that's not who we are. Like, I'm going to be really, and that's not who I am. That's not who we are. We want to help people. We want to consult people. we want to give people the best service and marketing program or communication program. And if you can't deliver that, then, you should tell them to use someone, tell them to use someone else, or like level up and learn how to do it properly and do it properly.
Yeah.
And so I feel like, a lot of the American models are really kind of like, very different, very different methodology. And so I'm not trying to like speak disparagingly, because sometimes, it's going to work. I think everything works. It's just a different method to get there. Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And, so that's kind of in a nutshell what consultative selling is. There's so many layers to that method of selling, which, we could get into.
Peel back the onion, the proverbial onion.
But then that's kind of like a general kind of overview of what that looks like. And, I think it's the style that I employ in terms of working with buyers and sellers and developers, but it's also the style that I use when, talking to agents as well. When they want to potentially join our company and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I really want them to join the best company for them. And, I always tell people that are thinking about joining our company, have you talked to a few different brokerages? Have you seen kind of like what else is out there? And if they haven't, I ask them, they have to go and see some other brokerages before and some of them are like, I want to sign up with your brokerage right away. And
I heard the podcast. Get me in there.
Exactly. Now, I tell every single one of them, I say, no, you got to see what else is out there, because if there's a better fit for you, I don't want to I don't want you to feel like you made a rash decision.
Yeah.
And, taking that, put myself in your shoes type of method is, I think I find it, the most rewarding. And then you won't have any, guilty conscience or any kind of you won't you'll be able to sleep well at night knowing that
you'll feel like you've been well researched.
Yeah. And also that you've provided that to others, and there's no okay, I hard sold this person into doing this thing. And I walked away with XYZ dollars.
And, does it happen where somebody will come to you and they're looking for that kind of brokerage, that kind of sell kind of, mentality in the brokerage? Or
there's some people that really they thrive under those conditions. They like a high pressure sales environment, and that's great. That's for them. I don't personally prescribe to that method of working. I like to really serve people well and how they want to be served, and really kind of take that approach versus kind of drive through 28 million phone cold calls type of. So it's a different methodology. And there's no right way of doing it and wrong way of doing it. There's a lot of different ways. It's like cooking an egg. There's so many different ways of cooking an egg, but it's just what you like, right?
Yeah. I think it's really interesting that I really like that idea that you can, if you it's almost like you're trying less hard to sell somebody can potentially bring you more sales, right?
Yeah.
And relieve that pressure. I think that's such a cool idea.
Yeah. So if my style was an egg, it would be like a soft poached egg. And some people are just eating eggs raw, like Rocky, and just chugging down eggs.
Just drilling a hole in the top and sucking it out, right?
So that's some people's style. But me, I'm a soft poached egg.
Smooth, Michael, smooth.
Yeah, not hard to chew. And so everyone has their different style, and I think it's just a different kind of mindset. And I think it's always good to reflect on each circumstance that you have, on every client you work with, and be like, okay, how could I have done this a bit better? What could I have done better? And really kind of take that mentality. And I feel like when you're in a posture of listening and information gathering, there's a better chance to kind of improve in a sense, because a bit more reflective in that kind of whole environment. So it's I've always put myself in the shoes of a buyer or a client, And like, would I like to be talked to like that? Like, would I like to be like hard? Like, I've been hard sold a lot of things, and I basically like I just cave.
I thought you were gonna say you shut down.
Oh no, I cave. I'm just cave? Like, oh yeah, here's my credit card. Like,
so it works sometimes.
It works. Like, it definitely works on me.
But you don't feel good about it.
I don't feel good as the customer doing that. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna use this guy once.
Yeah.
But you know, that's it.
Because I want him to go away.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm a softie, right? So like, you can do that to me one time.
Fool me once.
But you know, I kind of like the long-lasting type of relationships and stuff like that, and kind of that style of doing it. But you know, everyone's a bit different.
Yep.
Have you ever been like hard sold anything?
Yeah, I have.
When have you been hard sold?
I'm trying to think. I like, it happens every now and then where you just get that light bulb that flicks on that you're like, wait a minute, this guy's just trying to. I think the last time was probably when I leased my car. Like, this guy, he was just like,
oh yeah,
man, yeah. During the test drive, that's when they really get you, right?
Yeah.
Like I think I had what did I have before? I had like a Cadillac that I got a really good deal on when I was in real estate. And then I was like, this is, I'm paying too much for this thing.
Yeah,
and
Snoop Dogg.
Yeah. So I went to go look at a Mazda, and I was on vacation in Victoria, and like just took a trip around Victoria with this guy. And he was just leaning into me hard and telling me about all the features. And I was like, thinking about maybe, you know, do you think Mazda will ever come up with hybrid? And he's like, absolutely not. Like, they have the most efficient engines and blah, blah, blah. And he was just like, by the end of it, he was like, so you going to do this? And I was like, this seems ridiculous. Like, I would have to take 2 ferries home. My wife would have to drive the other car. He's like, I'll pay for your ferry. And I was like, here you go. Like, where do I sign? Right.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm still driving a Mazda, so it actually worked, but I definitely didn't use him again.
Right. Yeah. I think it's, you know, that story is very, reminiscent of kind of, I don't like that feeling of like being like, kind of like really kind of,
even
like,
if it's something you want, you still feel bad afterwards. Like, you got tricked into it, or even tricked into a little bit of it.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't know. It's not a good feeling.
No, it's not at all. And I feel like, you know, I don't know if it's just a car thing. I've gotten like, it was a cell phone. One guy sold me a cell phone when I could not afford I couldn't afford this type of cell phone. It was like, I think it was a Razr phone.
The Motorola.
Yeah, the Motorola Razr phone. And like, phone. You're just telling me like, you got to get it. It's like the latest technology. I was
it's the wave of the future.
It's the wave of
Michael.
the future. Like, you got to get this plan, and that makes it cheaper. I was like, oh man, I can't afford this plan. And then he's like, I gotta like, you know, you got to get the insurance for the phone because that's a $2,000 phone. And I was like, $2,000 phone? I don't have anything. This would be the most valuable thing I owned. I think it was like $1,000 or $2,000. I don't own anything even close to that value at the time. And so like, I was just like, oh man, like, I need a new phone. And I had kind of like this brick that I had, like, it was just like dying. And like, he was just selling me so hard, like selling me so hard. And
Did you cave?
I caved.
Yeah.
I bought the phone, but every time I touched that phone, anytime I used that phone, I felt bad. I felt, and I was on contract for like 4 years.
Yeah, back when you could do that.
And I was like, basically, I was in university. I was like, I'm like basically working an extra day a week, like, so to pay for the insurance on this phone. And I'm like, I felt so like creeped out, and not creeped out. I just felt so terrible about my decision.
Yeah.
And, you know, I kind of, you know, made us like a little bit of a vow not to do that to others. And so like, kind of like really felt not so good about it. And so like, you know, that's kind of like a method that we kind of try not to employ. Right.
Yeah.
So, and on that sad note, hey, we have our guest here. Okay, so on that sad note, thank you guys so much for listening to the Oakwyn podcast. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please rate us 5 out of 5 on the podcast platform you're listening to this on. And until next time, if you're also interested in Oakwyn, go to www.oakwyn.com/join, type into the message box pod 2021, and you'll get a free piece of
mystery swag.
Okay, guys, thanks so much for listening. Bye.
Bye.